It probably isn't one of the most popular or well-known books of the Old Testament, yet from the book of Tobit, we certainly have some very interesting stories that unfold. For those who may not be familiar with the story and hear today about Tobiah marrying Sarah after she herself had had 7 other husbands who died the very night that they got married, no doubt you're wondering what is going to happen to Tobiah. Well, tune in tomorrow because I think we continue the story then, or better yet, pick up the Bible and read that whole book of Tobit to discover how the intricacies of these different relationships are formed and just what happens here. But in any case, I think all of us would have to agree in hearing the segment from that book that we've heard today, Tobiah was a very brave person, very courageous person at that. For after very sincerely asking Raguel for to make the arrangements for Tobiah to be able to marry Sarah, he went about and drew up the proper contracts according to the Mosaic law to see that this would be done. And I'm also wondering now what happened after that when Raguel had been joined by by his wife, and they had prepared the wedding, the bridal chamber for them, saw that the couple entered and were to spend the night together, and they went away. Did they immediately go and call their neighborhood undertaker, figuring we'll have another one for you very soon? But no, other things happened here with the engagement, the eventual marriage there of Tobiah to Sarah. And the first thing they did says something else to us about Tobiah. He was a very faith-filled, God-fearing, and trusting individual. Because we hear here that what they did immediately, or certainly on Tobiah's invitation to his wife Sarah, was they engaged in prayer. Very important. I recall a number of years ago being involved with a number of marriage preparation programs and had the opportunity to work alongside some very committed couples as they sought to, married couples, as they sought to invite those who were engaged into embracing a strong relationship with one another, that they would be able, with the grace of God that comes from the sacrament, of course, be able to live very happy and fruitful lives together as husband and wife. I remember one individual, a man who began one of his presentations saying, "Today I want to tell you about the most intimate thing that my wife and I do every night." And he immediately said, "We pray together." He spoke about the significance that prayer played in their lives, helping them to bare their soul, if you will, not only before God, but even before each other, as they expressed, again, what was most central to them at that moment in their lives. I'm sure those prayers in time meant a lot to them as they faced, let's say, the usual bumps in the roads that every couple that would have along the way, or when children were coming along and there might have been difficulties with illness that crept into the family. But again, that practice that they had of praying together not only strengthened their relationship with God, but also bonded them in a most intimate way that certainly reflected very much in the life that they lived as husband and wife and touched many souls. Certainly it touched mine. And so as much as we might say that Tobiah was courageous, even more so was he faithful to his God. Very much following upon the words of Jesus in the gospel today, repeating again the first commandment that is so important, to love God with our whole heart, soul, and strength, and our neighbor as ourselves. With this example in mind, certainly we ourselves are given the courage that we need in order to grow in intimacy with God through our prayer, but also to realize the strength that we need from time to time, certainly to be able to tackle those very challenging things that may be before us. May we take upon the example of Tobiah and his wife Sarah and see the significance that prayer can and continues to have for us in our lives, in our growth, in our maturing in our faith, and most especially in the relationship that we have with our God.